And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful edition of Grounds for Development. I am your host, Greg the Hold, coming at you from the great white north of lovely Canada. We've actually been having a little bit of some warm days up here. It's in the plus temperature, so we're loving it. Joined as always by my great friend and wonderful co-host, Biff Kensington. How are you doing today, Biff?
So you're the bastards that stole our warm weather. Okay, that makes sense. It's like a freaking ice box down here. So be kind and shut the freezer door. Let the cold air come back up there where you guys are used to it, and let us have our warm weather back.
I'm sure that you'll have the warm stuff by the weekend. We're supposed to be getting cold again, so the joys of living in Canada in November.
Damn Skippy Hippie. That's all I got to say.
There you go. And we have a Grounds for Development first on this week's episode. Our very first ever guest star. We have Ohio's favorite son, the one, the only Adam Rice. How are you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing good, Hold. Let's not stretch that favorite son thing too far. I know there's going to be someone around here who hates me. We are also getting ready to experience our own winter weather, so it's here, and I'm not too fond of it.
Can we all agree that spring and summer just destroy winter and fall as seasons? I mean, can we all not agree that it would be nice if it was just 70 degrees year-round?
I mean, I agree with it. The issues that's happening here in Ohio is that fall tends to last about 8 weeks. And then it just goes right into, now it's 30. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, you've got that instant fall where it's in and out. It's like Winter by Anne Hesh. So, that's a Robin Williams joke from like 2001. Everybody's free to have that. So, oh Lord, it's been a day. It's been a day. But you know what, guys? We got a lot of good stuff to cover tonight. This is going to be a good show.
We have some wonderful stuff to cover. So let's dive right into it because we've got some stuff we want to get to, and we want to make sure we don't run out of time. Let's start off with our NXT UK recaps. We had a couple episodes of NXT UK to go through. The big announcement that came out of these episodes was the announcement of the Women's Championship. You have 8 women that are battling in a tournament for the NXT UK Championship. It is Toni Storm, Ginny, Isla Dawn, Millie McKenzie, and Dakota Kai, Nia Samuels, and I'm missing one, and I can't remember her name right now.
Rhea Ripley and Taya Brookside, I believe.
Yes. Thank you. My printing is terrible, and I couldn't make out that bracket. So, we had a couple of matches that happened. We had Dakota Kai defeating Nia Samuels to move on. It's a pretty good, solid match. Kai advances using the chiropractor, which I think is a great name for her finishing move. And then we had Ginny and Mackenzie battling. And, for an 18-year-old kid, that Millie McKenzie, man, she looked impressive, and I think she has got a very, very bright future ahead of her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Millie McKenzie, I'm very stoked to see her working in the NXT UK brand. She's been doing a lot of work with Pete Dunne over the last year or so. And she's really started to make a name for herself over in the British wrestling scene. So it's nice to see her getting a shot to kind of get some exposure on NXT UK. But I got to be honest with you, just looking at this tournament field is ridiculously strong. There's a lot of talent in this tournament, and you could honestly make a case that 4 or 5 different people have a legitimate claim at winning this title. And it's a very beautiful looking title, to be honest, as well. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad to see Millie McKenzie getting a shot to kind of get her feet wet. But Jenny picking up a big win here. Dakota Kai, of course, looking really good. I'm a Rhea Ripley mark. I'm also a big fan of Toni Storm. So I expect big things from them in this tournament. That could be a quite the little final foursome there. It's very fascinating. Tournaments are awesome, and WWE loves their tournaments these days. So we'll see where things go from here.
Any predictions? For those keeping score at home, yes, we know this tournament has already happened.
Yes.
But this is a spoiler-free zone, so we would not be giving away any of that information. If you want it, it's out there if you must know. But we are just now getting to it on the network, so that's why we're bringing it up now.
Exactly. Spoilers are for quitters.
Right on. The other highlights that came out of these two episodes, we had Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven in individual singles matches. Tyler Bate took on James Drake in what was a pretty good match. Bate picked up the win there. And for me, the match of the week on NXT UK was Zach Gibson and Trent Seven. I have become a huge fan of Zach Gibson. The guy is kind of a throwback heel. He was doing some beautiful arm isolation, concentrating on the left arm to set up his Shankly Gate submission. But he still does the little slimy heel tactics, and I'm loving the guy. I think he's one of my bright spots on NXT UK right now. What did you guys think of these two matches?
Well, Zach Gibson, I think, has got just the best way to describe Zach Gibson is he is a student of the game, and he's got a really strong grasp on ring psychology. There's certain performers that just have those nuances down. Whether it's the way they carry themselves in the ring, the way they move, sometimes it's the way they talk in the promos. Zach Gibson has definitely got the pedigree of a solid worker, but it's just the little things that he does, that he throws in. He sprinkles in that ring psychology that makes him just go up another level. I love his ring work, and he's one of the standouts in the early run of NXT UK for me. I personally think that Gibson and Dunn could have just an amazing program if they wanted to. So I look forward to seeing where they go with Gibson and whether they're going to try to make hay with him here on the brand.
What are your thoughts?
Two of the best workers. Thanks, Greg. You got two of the best workers on that side of the pond in this match. Zach Gibson, the words just bright future in WWE are just emblazoned in neon. He's smooth, he gets it, and he knows where to add his personal touches to his work. And of course, Trent Seven is Trent Seven, one of the best. Mustache Mountain, British strong style. He can do no wrong. WWE knows what they have in him. They have big plans for him, and I just can't wait to see how that turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. Another little thing that just kind of jumped out at me. We've seen him over the rollout of NXT UK, but Sid Scala is kind of quickly becoming kind of like a Barry Horowitz type jobber character. And I don't know about you guys, I loved the old jobbers. I loved the old Barry Horowitz storyline when he finally picked up his win over Skip and all that kind of stuff. So if that's the road they're going down with Sid Scala, I'm all for it. You know, it adds another little dimension to the UK show that just kind of sets it apart, and it's an added little bonus that we get to see every couple weeks.
Every show needs their job guys. Every show needs the classic, like, premier frontline jobber. You had James Ellsworth on SmackDown a couple of years ago, and you had Barry Horowitz in the early '90s WWF, and the Mulkeys from Crockett era. You always need those punching bags that give you just a little bit of hope that one day they may reach the promised land. Poor Sid, though. I mean, he just lives to get abused right now. So we'll see what happens.
Not everybody can be in the main event. And wrestling needs job guys, because on main roster WWE, you see a lot of people taking unnecessary losses because they don't utilize jobbers correctly, if at all. So, like Biff brought up, your Barry Horowitz's, your Mulkey brothers, these guys made names for themselves because of the way they lost. And if that's the role we're going to see used here in the UK, I think that's only good for the brand, because it keeps people from having to eat losses when they don't have to. Agreed. Absolutely.
Totally. Then one other kind of standout was the setup of a upcoming Hoss fight. We had the debuting Tyson T-Bone, who basically just crushed Jake Constantino, and then had a little stare down with Dave Mastiff, who proceeded to quickly kill Dad Baloney. These are two pretty big guys for the UK scene, and I think that could be quite the little Hoss fight coming down the road, and could be an interesting watch.
Yeah, Tyson T-Bone looks like someone that just walked off the set of maybe like an Irish mafia movie, like he walked off the set of Boondock Saints or something. He just conveys himself like someone that would beat the piss out of you. And we know Dave Mastiff brings the goods. We've seen what Dave Mastiff can do when he gets rolling in the ring. It's so funny, we look at, the shows that we cover here, like 205 Live. We have the smaller workers that are, just bringing the fight every week. But then, there's some value to be found here in a match like this, where it's just two big men just beating the piss out of each other. It's cathartic. It's a nice little way to wind down, enjoy a port, have a nice cigar, and watch T-Bone and Mastiff just knock each other into the middle of next week. There's something nice about that. It's good, wholesome family entertainment.
Everyone loves a Hoss fight. The irresistible force versus the immovable object. Tale as old as time. And you've got two perfect guys for the role. They just look the part. So I'm interested to see how the build continues, and when they do match up, what are we going to get out of it, and who's going to get that rub, who's going to get that opportunity to go over? Because we know, even in a developmental, technically setting, WWE loves their hosses. It's always been a big man company. Mm-hmm. So you got two excellent candidates here.
I still want to see Dave Mastiff and Otis, though, from Heavy Machinery. I still think that's the draw. Even if they just show up for like a backstage segment where they just do like a stare down for a moment, that's my life would be complete if I got an Otis and Dave Mastiff interaction. But good show of NXT UK this week. I thought it was a very good show overall.
Yeah, it was solid. There's good solid matches. There's a couple they're also building towards the tag team championship, so they had a couple throw together tag teams that had standard tag team matches. But we do have an interesting one possibly coming with Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, so that could be an interesting team coming forward. And then we have the Coffee Brothers, who at the end of the show kind of came out and made their presence known, along with Wolfgang. So you've got they're setting up some good stuff for the UK tag titles as well. So solid shows all around.
Yeah, it was a good show this week. I think that they're doing the right thing. They're kind of taking things a little bit slow right now. They're just kind of setting the table, especially with TakeOver War Games coming up. A lot of eyes are going to be focused on the main NXT brand this week. I think it's really going to start to pick up as we get past this weekend. We kind of be all eyes moving forward towards Phoenix. They'll give everyone a couple of months to, just kind of get your bearings again and get set up for the next TakeOver special. It's the best time of year for NXT because they set up their shows very nicely. And we'll see how they handle NXT UK now into the mix. But they've got a lot of promise, a lot of good stuff lined up in the near future.
We have pretty much covered NXT UK there, so we'll move off into the 205 Live. Another solid outing by 205 Live here. They've been knocking it out of the park for the last, as long as we can remember, as long as we've been covering the shows. So we had a great solid lineup here. We had tag match to start off with Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher against Akira Tozawa and the Brian Kendrick. This is all stemming from Gulak and Gallagher kicking Kendrick out of the group, and he's finding kind of an unlikely ally in his former rival Tozawa. It was a solid match. Gulak ends up kind of stealing the win after Gallagher causes Kendrick to break up Tozawa's submission. So that team isn't quite gelling yet. So I expect that this is going to continue on down the line, and I'm all for it because these four gentlemen can just go in the ring.
Yeah, this is very much still in the early stages of this little developing feud, and it's going to be a good undercard feud for 205 Live. I mean, it's never going to make like a main roster show like the Cruiserweight title would, but all four guys are talented in their own way. Of course, Brian Kendrick brings a lot of experience to the table. Gulak, Gallagher, Akira Tozawa, three of the best workers on the 205 Live roster. It's fun. This is exactly what they need. They need stories up and down the card to give you interest. It's not just about random matches anymore. It's about, getting stories that people can get invested in. But, as much as I enjoy seeing stories like this, I also enjoy cameos. Like we got a cameo from Adam Pearce tonight. So, it's like good stories, but Adam Pearce is here. So he's been busy this week.
I like what I see here. This is straightforward storytelling, professional wrestling. You got a babyface team, and you got a well-oiled heel team, and they're just okay. These two guys have a problem with this guy. This guy needs a partner. He found one. Let's see what you got. And it's straightforward, and sometimes that's the best recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, these four gentlemen could all go, and this story is going to be played out for the next little while, and it should be a fun ride as it goes. From there, we had Lucha House Party take it on Nobody Knows. They didn't even get their names announced from what I saw. This was just a Lucha House Party showcase. Basically, Curtis Axel Light and the 321 Kid pretty much just ate the pins. After that, Maria comes up on the Tron to kind of further this feud between Lucha House Party and TJP and Mike Canales. Setting up a match for next week when Grand Metalik returns and takes on TJP.
Jobbers number 1 and 2. I think thanks to the miracle of social media, I think their names are Craig Kisseman and Mike Karma. Mike Karma is actually a pretty cool name. I'm not going to lie. It's actually not a bad name for our poor victim. This is basically just, kind of it's just there. These two poor guys just in to kind of do the job. Lucha House Party, you know what? Kudos to them. What could have been a complete throwaway, it's kind of like a reverse situation. Well, not a reverse situation. It's kind of a mirror situation to the Riot Squad over on Raw, where it was just a group of people thrown together, and slowly but surely, just by repetition or by their natural charisma, they're starting to kind of gel together and actually present kind of an entertaining faction on this show, especially because there's not a lot of dedicated tag teams right now. They've kind of been mix and match pairings for the most part. And so it's nice to have an actual unit here to kind of hold down the fort. They're not my favorite act, but all of them can work. Lince Dorado, Gran Metalik, Kalisto, they're all dope in the ring. So you know you're getting good quality whenever they have a true feature match to compete in.
Yeah, this is another straightforward thing. We know Lucha House Party will be involved at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, wrong SS, and they probably just wanted to make sure they got Lucha House Party out there in a match, get them in, get them out. Let's forward a story and make sure they're ready to go for the Survivor Series pay-per-view. But I echo everything that Biff just said. Lucha House Party, a team that's entertaining. They're starting to click not only as a unit, but they're starting to click with the audience. And that can only mean good things going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're enjoyable. They've got, a good little shtick going, so it's fun to watch, and that's the main part. We had a little Cedric Alexander backstage interview before moving into our main event match of Lio Rush and Cedric Alexander. This was a great match. Best match of the night on 205 Live for sure. Lio Rush's best match on 205 Live that I've seen. They did some pretty unique little things. That little off the bottom rope spring back cutter thing that Lio Rush did was pretty impressive. I can't say that I've ever seen anything quite like that before. They had some nice the finishing sequence here with the Spanish flies and hanging on there was something to behold. And then our favorite son, Cedric Alexander, wins with the lumbar check, which absolutely launches Lio Rush into the stratosphere. And we have Cedric Alexander back on his winning ways.
Well, to a nicer guy, it couldn't happen. First of all, Lio Rush, the little punk, he deserved that and then some. In a world without Kyle O'Reilly, this is absolutely the gym of the week, leading up to TakeOver at least. Cedric Alexander is by far one of the most talented overall performers on this brand. And he had a really solid title reign. I really hope for his sake that he gets a chance on Raw or SmackDown one day, because I think he's got it in him to be even more than what we've seen. I just think that the sky is the absolute limit for him. He could be such a big star if they let him. Here again, just another great match in a running series of them. Lio Rush is very talented. But Lio Rush is also very easy to dislike because of his annoying character habits. It's by design. He does his job well. He makes you want to root against him. Very solid match. I don't know how Lio died from that lumbar check, but you know what? Kudos to them for putting on a good match. And it was nice to see Cedric, like you said, Greg, get back on the winning side of the ledger, because he's had a run of bad luck here the last couple of weeks. Nice to see him pick up a nice marquee win heading into Survivor Series weekend.
I've always thought Cedric Alexander, when they first signed him, had a big future, at the very least in the WWE main roster mid card. He could be so much more than a cruiserweight on the 205 Live brand. He's got plenty of size. He carries weight well. He's easily likable. I first saw him wrestled down in Ring of Honor. The kid is gifted as a high flyer. They could use him in so many more ways. He would be a marketing dream for the company. In my opinion, he is being wasted a little bit down there on 205 Live, but the fact is he's putting on great matches, and he's just excelling. And you can't ask for much more, even if you don't like the usage.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. The only drawback that I've seen in him, and you saw it a little bit in his little backstage interview, he needs a little bit brushing up on the promo work. For the most part, it was a little solid, but kind of near the end, you saw that he lost his train of thought and kind of had to chase it back down and catch it again. He recovered really well. So if he can shore up that side of the game, I agree with you. I see no reason why he can't excel on the main roster. And hopefully he does get that chance.
Agreed.
And other than that, the other overall kind of big arc that we've left to the end of this segment here on purpose is the upcoming Survivor Series match, the Cruiserweight Championship between Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali. They did an official weigh-in for this match, which I kind of thought was a really nice touch, especially since they have to make the 205 mark, and it was kind of nice to see that devolved into a little pushing and shoving. That we got an interview with Buddy Murphy and a little video with Mustafa Ali to build towards this match. This is going to be just an absolute great match on Survivor Series. Wonderful news. It's actually going to be on the main pay-per-view, as they announced that the tag team 5-on-5 match is going to the pre-show for Survivor Series. So great to see the Cruiserweight Championship getting a little bit more of a spotlight on this upcoming pay-per-view.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see the Cruiserweight Championship getting its time to shine, especially on a Big Four show. It's not like they're doing this on Battleground or Extreme Rules. This is Survivor Series. It's the second oldest pay-per-view the company has, behind only WrestleMania. And so there's a certain prestige factor still with Survivor Series, even though Survivor Series as a show has not meant as much in years past because of the gimmicks that they run with it now. It has a lot of cachet with old school fans. So it's nice to see this match getting a proper build. Of course, we've been looking forward to this for weeks now. Ever since the match was made official, we knew this match was going to just kick copious quantities of ass. There's no other way to put it. This match is going to wail. Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali are easily capable of putting on the match of the night in Los Angeles, and they might well do it. I think that there's a general sense among the fan base, given the events of Monday night, and last night, I guess, too, that Survivor Series has kind of lost a little bit of its edge. And so I think that actually sets them up perfectly to kind of shock everybody, surprise them. We know what they could do in the ring. We know how good a story they can tell. Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali are both peaking at the exact right time. It's going to be a fantastic match. I expect a lot of good things. And if they get the time to work, they could steal a show on Sunday.
For those interested, I gave my prediction for this match on last night's episode of the Violent Wrestling Podcast. I love what they're doing with Buddy Murphy. It's a more intense version of the old Matt Hardy cruiserweight gimmick that Hardy ran as Matt Hardy version 1 when he tried to make weight and compete for the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm getting those same vibes here, but instead of it being a comedy gimmick, it's more intense. Buddy Murphy might be one of the breakout stars of this wrestling year. The way he burst on the scene and started having banger after banger, it didn't matter who he was in the ring with. He brought it. And And of course, Mustafa Ali, to me, is the heart and soul of 205 Live right now. He's the babyest babyface who ever babyfaced. And he's also one of the most, he's in the top 10, one of the most top 10 talented guys in the company overall. And they're going to put on him, if they are given the time, they will put on a classic. And there is room for it with all the events of Raw and SmackDown for them to come in and steal the show before anybody realizes what just happened. So I am very hyped for this match.
Yes, as am I. I've been looking forward to this, as Biff said, since it's been announced. And being that this is our the last show that we have before the Survivor Series or Survivor Series and Takeover specials, it's time to go on record with your official predictions for who do you think is going to win the Buddy Murphy Mustafa Ali match. Adam, why don't we start with you?
I believe this is going to be the time where they put the belt on Mustafa Ali.
Wow.
Bold prediction.
I know Buddy's been on a roll. And like I said, he's putting on bangers every week when he's on the card. Yet there's been this build for Mustafa Ali to win this belt. They continue to show him as being this beacon of a positive Arab Muslim character. He wants to be that in real life. He puts that out on Twitter. He just worked Evolve, I believe, and they made sure to show him after the match with him and his daughter. He puts out this influence. And the more that builds, the more people want him to have that crescendo moment. And I don't think it's going to hurt Buddy to drop the belt here. Like Biff said, considering this is the only title on the card that is slated to change hands by the stipulation, I think they're going to go ahead and do it. So that way they can say they had a major title change, they can give it to a babyface, and let Mustafa Ali run with it on 205 Live.
Wow. I gotta admit, that's actually pretty sound reasoning. I was sitting here thinking of a way to kind of refute that, because I was originally going with Buddy Murphy to retain. But I got to be honest, you kind of spun me to your side of the camp here a little bit. I will say this. If Mustafa Ali doesn't win the title at Survivor Series, I do believe he is the one that takes the title off Buddy Murphy at some point. Heading into tonight and then heading into this weekend, my initial thought was Buddy Murphy finds a way to outlast Mustafa Ali in a classic, and sets up for a potential big rematch down the line. And that's strictly based on the idea that they love to have their WrestleMania moments. And Mustafa Ali getting a chance to win the title at WrestleMania would be a big deal. Personally, I don't know if Mustafa Ali wins the title in Los Angeles. It's definitely going to be a big moment, especially on the Survivor Series card that doesn't have any of the title matches. I don't know what you do in terms of a championship match in New York at that point, unless you're doing Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali in a rematch, which I am more than okay with. Those are the best two options from where I sit. It's very close.
I wouldn't personally be shocked to see Buddy retain. I think there's plenty of logic in that. But from where I'm sitting and the way the momentum is, and just like I said, just by sheer luck, this is the only title on the card that can change hands. And when you have a baby face like Mustafa Ali, you might want to hop on that momentum, hop on that character, and give him an opportunity to let him run with it. And look, we don't know what the future is for 205 Live with who's coming, who's going. They have a perfectly viable character in Leo Rush now. I would buy the hell out of Mustafa Ali versus Leo Rush down the road for the Cruiserweight Championship.
That is a good point as well. I mean, with the push getting ready to start towards Rumble and WrestleMania season, you never know if they have plans for some of the 205 Live members to jump over to Raw or SmackDown. They could do part of their shakeup, for the Rumble season. We never know. I am strictly I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say that Buddy Murphy probably retains here, but it is very much a toss-up, and that's almost just playing devil's advocate. I would love to see Mustafa Ali get a title run, and I do think it's coming. I do believe that we are going to see him win that title, provided that nothing catastrophic happens between now and whenever they book the title switch. So as long as he stays healthy, I think Mustafa Ali is guaranteed to be walking out of a big pay-per-view with the title. I just don't know that I'm ready to put the money on the table and say it's going to be Sunday. It could. But as much as I would love to see it, I also think that Buddy Murphy, they want to protect that title. And I don't know that Murphy has done enough with the title to warrant dropping it yet. So I'm going to say Buddy Murphy. It may not be a clean finish. It could be a Hideo Itami sticking his nose in and causing issues and kind of continuing that feud and stretch things out a little bit. But I think at the end of the night, 51% to 49% odds, I'm going to go with Buddy Murphy retaining, but it is awfully close.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Very persuasive argument for Ali winning. You laid that out beautifully, Adam, and thank you for that. But I am solidly in the Buddy Murphy camp. I believe, as Biff said, that they are building to an Ali title run, but I believe that they want to give that moment to him at WrestleMania. I'm solidly on board with Buddy Murphy retaining this time around. He hasn't held the title long enough. He's got more to do with it. I also agree that I don't think the finish of this is going to be a clean finish. Whether it's Hideo Itami, whether it's Tony Nese, somebody's going to stick their nose in. But either way, however it works out, this is going to be one hell of a match. Likely could be the match of the night for Survivor Series.
And special kudos to them for putting it on the main show. I know we said it a minute ago, but really and truly, it's a huge testament to the work 205 Live has been doing. I know there's been some concerns over viewership over the last couple of months, but it's a testament to getting that title match on the card. They could have easily just shunted it on to the pre-show like they normally do. So kudos to Mustafa Ali and for Buddy Murphy for getting the spotlight that they deserve. And I'm hoping they tear the house down in Los Angeles.
Same.
Absolutely. And now moving into the last show of the night, NXT. It's the take-home or go-home show for TakeOver War Games. So we obviously had some hype vids for the matches that are going on. But we had a couple pretty good matches that happened on this match or on this episode as well. Starting off with Bianca Belair versus Mia Yim. This was a really, really good match, I thought. I wasn't terribly impressed with Mia Yim's first performance on NXT, but she definitely redeemed herself here. And Bianca Belair looked really, really good too, laying her claim for a future women's title shot. What did you guys think of this match?
Yeah, the sky is the limit for Bianca Belair. I think that at this point, odds are that Sasha Banks is going to be leaving the company when her contract is up. And so I think that there's going to be a role for Bianca Belair to kind of slot right in on the main roster one day where Sasha was. I see a lot of the boss in Bianca Belair. She's got that cockiness, that attitude. She's a very solid worker, and she's only going to get better. Mia Yim is an interesting case. We know that Mia has a lot of upside and a lot of promise. And like you said, I don't know that we've really seen the full package yet. We haven't really seen Mia at her absolute best. Still waiting for that breakout performance. She's definitely done better. This was a very solid match. This was a much better showing than some of her previous exposure on NXT. But really, I think Bianca Belair is the story of this particular match because she is set up now to really have a nice little run. I think she's just kind of biding her time. As soon as Shayna Baszler and the Horsewomen move up to join Ronda Rousey and kick off the Horsewomen feud, I think Bianca Belair is absolutely going to be the heir apparent in terms of top heels for NXT.
Yeah, the messaging is clear with Bianca Belair. Loads of talent, loads of athleticism. She's a great heel. Still some shine needs to be applied before it's a finished product. But yeah, Bianca Belair is there apparent to the heel side on NXT. She's going to get an NXT Women's title run. They're building to it. When Shayna, like Biff said, when Shayna and the Horsewomen get called up for that feud, Bianca's going to slot in, and she's either going to be wrestling Kyrie or Io or Candice. Whoever's going to be on that top babyface spot after a while. It's going to be Bianca's going to be the heel. She's probably going to get a run, and she's earned it. She's put in the time. She's put in the work. She's earned this opportunity. Mia Yim, it looks like she's still trying to find her sea legs in NXT, but I mean, you can't argue the talent and what she's already accomplished. She just needs a little bit of time, find her sea legs, and once that happens, we know she can go. So I'm not worried about Mia Yim.
Yeah, absolutely. She was great everywhere else she's been, so I'm sure she'll be fine moving forward. After that match, we moved into a little backstage segment with Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders kind of arguing over who was going to represent the team in the War Games Advantage match that was coming up later on in this episode. So Dunne and Ricochet were kind of arguing back and forth, and Hanson pretty much just told him to shut up, and he was going to be the man. If a guy that size is going to tell you to shut up, and I think I'm just going to shut up and let him do his thing. It was what it was. It wasn't much, but it let us know who was going to take the spot in the match coming up at the end of the show here.
Yeah, you put the nail right on the head. If the War Raiders do what the War Raiders going to do, so it set up really a great match and a great dynamic, and it also established the tradition of all traditions with War Games, which we'll touch on when we get there. But decent fun here from the Raiders and the champs.
Professionals. Pete Dunne, the War Raiders, Ricochet. These guys are not only some of the best workers in the world, they've been around the block. So everything we saw here, the setup, the promos, it just fits. They know what they're doing, and they're showing it.
Yeah, then after that, a couple more little backstage and videos. We had a Gargano Black hype video, a Ciampa Dream hype video, and a Kyrie Sane vid. We've gone on record several times. These hype videos for matches, the WWE does these so well. If you haven't been, if you missed a few of the episodes leading up, you catch one of these videos, you know exactly what the feud's about. They're so well done. And once again, on all three of those cases, well done videos. Not much more to say about those. We also had a Matt Riddle interview backstage. Cassius Ohno crashes that and sets up a match for next week. So we're getting Matt Riddle with Cassius Ohno, and I'm actually looking forward to that match. I think that should be a pretty good match.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a nice little appetizer for the crowd in Los Angeles while they're waiting for the main takeover to start. That's kind of a staple of the takeovers, really. And I got to go to Takeover New Orleans this past spring, and it was fun watching Kairi Sane come out. And we also saw the debut of the War Raiders, as a matter of fact, during the taping for next week's takeover, next week's episode of NXT. So that's a good match to hang their hat on. It's interesting that they're going to run with a 4-match takeover card. I guess they want to make sure that everyone's got plenty of time for their matches. But you know what? It's about time to see Matt Riddle do his thing, and he's got a world of potential in his own right. One of the big players in NXT over the next year or two, at least. So let's see what he can do. We'll see if he can bring it on a big stage.
It's time for one of the biggest indie stars in recent memory to come in and let's lay out all your wares. We know what this is. This is the Cassius Ohno Gatekeeper special. But I don't expect anything less but a good match. But it's time for Matt Riddle to showcase himself on a bigger stage than he's ever been on before, even in NXT.
Absolutely. From there, we had a quick little appetizer before the main event. We had Carissa Rivera versus Lacey Evans. This was a pretty quick win for Miss Evans. She knocked out Rivera with the women's right, and then went on to do a quick little interview and gave me my new go-to insult. Classless nasties is going to be a go-to for me moving on forward. Not much to see here, but good to see Lacey Evans develop it a little bit more.
They're playing the long game with Lacey, which is exactly what they should. She is developing her ground game. She's developing her intangibles. She's not a natural athlete just by looking at her, but she does have a good grasp of the fundamentals. And you can work with someone like that. She obviously wants to be there. She's definitely improving week to week. You can see the improvement all over the summer. She's getting better. I really look forward to seeing what she can do next year. I think that she's going to be kind of in the Emma or Dana Brooke role in NXT, where she's around the title picture. She's not necessarily going to be the champion, but we need the depth up on the main roster. And so if she continues to improve, get another year of seasoning down at NXT, I think she could do a lot of good stuff on the main roster. As far as this match goes, it was pretty much just a little brief showcase to kind of keep her name value out there. It was fine, but I really do like what I've seen from Lacey Evans. She's come a long way over the last 6 to 8 months.
I don't think Lacey Evans is going to get to a level of work rate that some of the other girls are already at, but she is a straight character, and that's okay.
Yep.
You need characters to make the wheel turn. Her character is going to draw a lot of heat just by how they play it. I won't get too much further into that, but we all know what I'm talking about. She's a heat magnet kind of character. If they let her really turn it up, They can get some great reactions. Fine match. These are the kind of matches she needs right now. Let her get in there, get over, get reps, cut a promo, get out. And the more she does that, the better she'll get. She's, like Biff said, she's not really ever going to be in the title picture, but she's going to be a character that's going to get a lot of time, a lot of reps, and then they're going to let her see what she can do later on down the road. Which, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And other from there, we had a couple more of those vids that we talked about, and then moved into the main event of the night, a match that actually had some stakes involved in it. Hanson of the War Raiders versus Kyle O'Reilly of Undisputed Era. And whoever wins this match gets the War Games advantage for their team in the upcoming TakeOver. This was a great match. You had the speed and striking ability of Kyle O'Reilly versus the just sheer bulks and size of Hanson. They did some beautiful moves. Hanson showed some great agility for a guy his size when he was kind of skipping over Kyle O'Reilly's kicks and doing suicide dives. Guys that size shouldn't be doing suicide dives in my books. Eventually, everything breaks down. All the Undisputed Era, Rowe and Dunn and Ricochet all come out. It leads to distraction, and Kyle O'Reilly picks up the win after a shot with the title belt, which was definitely the way to go. War Games always works better when the heels have the advantage. So really, really good match. And once again, shows when you put a little something on the line, it just makes the match mean something more.
Yeah, this result was never in doubt. The heels always control War Games. That's just a fundamental law of the universe. Having said that, my man crush on Kyle O'Reilly is almost as strong as my girl crush is on Becky Lynch. I am just absolutely I ship it so hard, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. Kyle O'Reilly's got the coolest entrance in wrestling. He's the coolest cat in wrestling since heel Prince Devitt in New Japan. Don't ask me why playing air guitar on the title belt with a little leg kick, it gives me the vapors. It just does. And it also helps that he's one of the best overall workers, quietly delivering, the work rate each time he's in there. I mean, I cannot sing this guy's praises enough. He was great in Ring of Honor. I'm so glad that Bobby Fish is back, because with Roddy Strong kind of in the mix, you have all sorts of different combinations for matches. I like the War Raiders. I have not been singularly impressed by them yet in NXT like I have been Undisputed Era. But I think that, they were made for War Games. I just kind of used this as a little appetizer for Saturday evening. My God, my body is so ready for Saturday night. I am so freaking ready for that match. It's like Papa's coming home. The mothership is coming, baby. It's coming to get me.
Let me tell you something, Daddy. This weekend at War Games, it's gonna be big, Daddy. It's coming. War Games always makes you feel good. What was that?
I said, yeah, baby. More than a bowl of Jello.
Like you said, the outcome of the match wasn't really in doubt. If you're a student of War Games, you know how this works. So really, at the end of the day, what we were looking for was a good match, and we got it. Kyle O'Reilly is one of the best technical workers around, and he's also a hell of a striker. And, Hanson is a big guy who can move. and he gives off a ton of energy and charisma. And what more can you ask for? I mean, if you are at all familiar with these guys' work outside of WWE, you know how good they are, and you know what we're in for at War Games. So this was more about having a good match than the stipulation, and we got it.
And that, leads us right into the TakeOver special that is coming up Saturday night. We only have 4 matches that are on this card that we are aware of, unless they surprise us with something else. But we'll run down the matches and give our predictions for what we think is going to happen this Saturday. This is going to be one hell of a show. I am so looking forward to this. But starting off, we've got the NXT Women's Championship between Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler in a best 2 of 3 falls match. Biff, why don't you start us off and give your predictions for this one?
This match is probably going to be the weakest match on the show, and it could easily top 4 stars. That just gives you an idea of the amount of womp-ass quality we're about to experience. You know what? I like what they've done with these two. They've kind of developed a quiet rivalry. In terms of the great championship rivalries, it is slowly kind of creeping up the list. I think that Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler have wonderful chemistry, and they've been telling some awesome stories. I was not necessarily a fan of the title change at Evolution, but I understood it. They're definitely getting Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke involved in Shayna's storylines, because that is it's almost required by law at this point. The MMA horsewomen are just going to be together in some form or fashion. So if they're going to do it, you know what? Might as well go full bore with it. Kairi Sane is one of my favorite workers in NXT right now. And of course, Io Shirai is coming in and is going to be lighting things up in short order as well. I really look forward to seeing some of the stuff that they're going to have in store for us over the next couple of weeks and months. Just kind of all the people that they could pair off with one another down in NXT. It's a great time for the women's division. In terms of this match, it's going to go the full 3 falls. I don't see a sweep in any way, shape, or form, especially not on a 4-match card. They're going to give everybody plenty of time here. I am going to have Shayna Baszler retain the title. I don't think that they would have pulled the switch just to hotshot the title back to Kairi Sane this quick. Whether Kairi winds up taking the title back at some point, I don't know. That's why I'm kind of confused by the timing at Evolution. But, you know, there's no sense in hotshotting titles and devaluing them. NXT is smarter than that, so I think the safe bet, Shayna Baszler 2 falls to 1 over Kairi Sane. But I do think this match sets up Kairi Sane and Io Shirai to kind of form a partnership when the MMA horsewomen get involved. So I'm looking forward to this.
Sorry I dropped out. My internet got wonky. I don't understand, but it just did. As far as my predictions for the match, I said it last night, and I'll say it again. I do think they're going to hotshot this belt back to Kairi because they want to run the Horsewoman feud on the main roster. I think they're telegraphing it by some of the decisions they've made. So I think 2-1 Kairi over Shayna.
And I'm kind of split on this. I agree. I think they want to run the horsewomen match, but I think that they're going to want to do just a little bit more seasoning with all 3 of them. I'm kind of going with Shayna Baszler retaining as well, but with Io Shirai joining up with Kairi Sane, and down the road they're going to have a little spat before the horsewomen go up. I think is what's going to happen. We may see the horsewomen come up and make a little appearance first, but I think they're going to want to run a little bit with them as a unit down in NXT before they really run him on the full roster. So I'm gonna go with Shayna Baszler on this one as well. Next up on our matches, we have Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black. The payoff to the long Who Attacked Aleister Black story, which was a great story, and they spun off so much good stuff out of that. This is going to be quite the match, I think. Adam, who do you think is going to prevail out of this one?
This one's tough because they're either going to want to have Aleister get his revenge, or they're going to want to continue with the development of this heel Johnny Gargano character. I am going to say I think they're going to want to have a couple feel-good moments here. So I think Aleister goes over Gargano.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. I think that this show does have the possibility of being a heel-heavy show in terms of who wins. And especially if Shayna Baszler takes the women's title match, I think that really solidifies it's going to be a heel-heavy show. So I could see this being kind of the one bright spot for the babyface side. Johnny Gargano, as a new heel, I don't think he suffers from a loss here, especially if it's a hard-fought loss, because I think that they're still kind of telling the story with him, and they're trying to kind of maneuver him around a little bit, and so he's got a little bit of wriggle room. I think Aleister Black, this is going to be a nice little swan song for him. I don't see Aleister Black hanging around in NXT much longer. I would be shocked if he wasn't a January call-up. I could easily see him coming to the Royal Rumble and debuting on the main roster there, and then kind of latching on somewhere after the fact. They really got to start clearing out some of the upper card space, because they've got so many people waiting in the wings. You got Keith Lee, you've got Matt Riddle, EC3 is still waiting to kind of elevate. You got Lars Sullivan there, all of Undisputed Era, Ricochet, Pete Dunne. It's just such a full card right now, full house. And with Gargano and Ciampa staying in NXT for a while longer, there's really no reason for Aleister Black to remain. So I think he gets his big marquee win here. He gets redemption for missing Brooklyn. Puts a nice little capstone in his NXT career, and then I think it's off to the main roster afterward for him.
I agree. He's had his NXT title run, so they've cleared that hurdle. He's in the biggest feud on the brand right now. So if he gets a win here, he's getting a win on a high note, and it would be the perfect time to take him off NXT TV and prepare him for a surprise entrance in the Rumble.
And I'm going to echo everything that you guys said. I too believe that Black picks up the win here. You guys pretty much covered all the reasons I had as well. So yeah, that's I think we all unanimously agree that Aleister Black wins this match. Moving on from there, we go into our NXT Championship match. Tommaso Ciampa, the champion, versus the Velveteen Dream. Adam, who you got in this one?
I love Dream. I enjoy Dream. But they're not done with Ciampa's story. And not only that, I think it would be a bit early to put the NXT strap on Dream. He still's got some kinks he needs to work out. And I would wait till he gets that done a little bit before I do something like putting that NXT belt on him. So I think it's Ciampa over Dream for the title.
Yeah, I'm complete agreement. I think this is probably the safest bet of the entire show. Tommaso Ciampa is not losing the title here. There's just no reason unless there was like some master plan to get Tommaso Ciampa up on the main roster the night after Survivor Series, which I don't see how that would even work. He's not dropping this title. Velveteen Dream, this is as much a showcase for him to prove he belongs in the main event as anything. Velveteen Dream has a world of upside. He's definitely going to be a world champion one day. I think you can almost take that to the bank. But this is not his time. This is a chance for him. This is a coming out party to showcase his main event level credentials in NXT. And then where we go from here will determine. This is the 2015 Roman Reigns at WrestleMania moment. This is Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31, where he's proving that he belongs in the main event. And then after this match with Ciampa, as long as he does the crash and burn, then Velveteen Dream is going to be a main event made man. And then the next time he gets his big title match, I think that's when we could possibly see a title switch. For tonight, as I sit here, Tommaso Ciampa, I think, is retaining the title.
And once again, complete sweep on this one. I too agree that Ciampa's retaining. Although I don't believe that it's going to be a clean victory. I think there's going to be a lot of extra little shenanigans in this one, whether Gargano comes and continues his little story with Ciampa, or maybe we got Lars Sullivan sticking his nose in there, being that he's kind of been sniffing around the title as well. Like I said, Ciampa retains, but it's not going to be a clean victory. There's going to be something that happens to lead to that victory in my books. And now we get to the big one, the War Games match with the Undisputed Era versus Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and War Machine. Biff, take us away. What are your predictions? And do you think does anything have any chance of topping this for the whole weekend?
No. let's just go ahead and put that out there. That's a big 10-4 negatory. Good buddy. There's nothing going to top this. It's a classic style War Games match, and just the sheer talent involved in this match. I want to run down this list. You got Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly taking on the War Raiders, former War Machine, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's 8 of the best workers in the world, no matter what company you're talking about, over diverse styles. It's a classic style War Games match. I have a feeling that we're not going to have the Shark Cage silliness this year. I think that's just going to be straight up alternating back and forth, which is going to make this match feel like more of a throwback. The roof is probably going to be off still, so I imagine Ricochet is going to die for our pleasure. Kyle O'Reilly is probably going to be folded up like an accordion 17 different times. So we're going to see how many times he can bend his body without breaking. I look forward to seeing Pete Dunne in this match. I think Pete Dunne is made for these types of matches. He's going to be like a babyface version of Arn Anderson in there. Just beat an enforcer, beating the crap out of people. I look forward to seeing Bobby Fish back in the ring. It's been too long since he's been out there. It'd be nice to see him get back in and do his thing. Roddy Strong, the conniving little heel. I think that he's going to be the punching bag, the whipping boy.
The Tully Blanchard, if you will.
There you go. Yeah, he's going to be the Tully Blanchard. He's going to be the guy that you love to see get the crap beat out of him. He's going to take his beating like a man. This match, it's going to go 40 minutes. It's going to steal the show. It's going to steal the weekend. It will be the key War Games match for years to come. This is going to set the stage for all future War Games matches. It's going to blow last year's out of the water, in my opinion. It has no other recourse. There's just too much talent for this match not to live up to hype. At a certain point, I know you can get overhyped on a match. This is not one of those times. The level of talent in this match is so high that it's almost by osmosis that you're going to get like a 4.5-star match. I think we're going the full Monty. I think Meltzer gives it 5 stars. I think it's going to be that spectacular. In the end, I'm calling for a heel sweep. I think Shayna Baszler retains her title. Ciampa retains his title. And I think Undisputed Era comes out of this as winners. I think the Pete Dunne knee injury that they foreshadowed on NXT this week is the ultimate downfall of the babyface team. More than anything, I think that's going to set up some more Pete Dunne Ricochet matches in the future, to which I say, God bless you, Triple H. All praise to your name. I have Undisputed Era picking up the win. The heels celebrate going off the air in Los Angeles.
I want to try to see if I can fill in some spaces here because Biff just pretty much laid it out. This will be the match of the weekend because this match is going to be given all the time in the world. It's basically a blank check. It's handing a blank check to 8 of the best workers in the world and saying, go figure it out.
Yep.
Go make this work. It's going to go 40 minutes. I have Dream going in my head right now, not Velveteen, the American Dream. I'm just hearing in my head, War Games, Daddy. It's going to be a show. It's going to be a show. I have the Undisputed Era winning because in this instance, they are the group. They're supposed to be the well-oiled machine. They're supposed to be the ones who have a game plan. They work together. They know each other. So they're supposed to not only have the man advantage going in, they're supposed to have the team advantage. Like Biff said, we also have an injury angle coming in, and Ricochet is going to sacrifice himself for our pleasure, and I'm going to take pleasure in him sacrificing himself. As sick as that is to say, it's true. These guys are going to be given all the leg room to work, to come in and out of transitions, to do things we haven't seen before. I'm excited. There's no other way. There's no other week we're supposed to be excited for this match. It is going to be the match of the weekend. The most exciting match going into this weekend, we've lost.
Yeah.
So this is the next best. It was always going to be Becky, Ronda, and War Games. And we lost Becky, Ronda. Not that it matters because Becky has already killed Ronda on Twitter. She's dead, people. I'm sorry.
If Becky Lynch isn't careful, she's actually going to get seriously over.
No.
People are going to be ready to die for this woman if she keeps this up.
Biff, it's her accent. I think her accent's going to hold her back.
Yeah, Kevin Dunn, you Bucky Beaver. I'm going to tell you something right now. She needs to slow up on this social media game because that's an awful long time for me to be thinking of baseball to get to March. So, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This is a little bit too tantalizing. I'm not sure I'm going to make it to Sunday night at this rate, the rate they're going. So
Biff has more than the vapors here, folks. He's feeling a wrestling in areas in his body that haven't wrestled in a good long while. So
I could pound diamonds into dust right now.
Like I said, Undisputed Era, they get the win. And they get to stand tall at the end of the night, which is, for a faction like Undisputed Era, that's what you want. They need to be consistently shown strong until it comes time for someone to go over them. And even then, they have to come back from that eventual loss like nothing ever happened. That's what you do with a group like this. So they're standing tall at the end of the night.
Yeah, and once again, I'm going to echo both of your sentiments here. I too agree that Undisputed Era is going to take this. Yeah, it's going to be the match of the weekend. 40 minutes is going to go by, and you're going to be, where did the time go, and why can't this go another 20? As much as I loved seeing the War Games concept come back last year, that wasn't a true War Games match to me. It was too convoluted. It was too many weird stipulations. This is the true return of a War Games match. This is, in my opinion, just with the personnel that they have in this has the potential to rank up there with some of the classic War Games matches of all time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, some people may think that that's sacrilege to say, because some of those old War Games matches were unbelievable and the best. But I believe that is, that's the literal truth. When we look back on this, it is going to be etched in our memories for a good long time. I don't know what else to say about this. Ricochet is going to do something that we've never seen before. It's going to blow our minds, and we're going to be wondering how the hell he isn't being carried out of the ring in a stretcher. Kyle O'Reilly's going to get pretzeled like we've never seen. It's going to be epic, and I'm looking forward to this match probably the most out of every match this whole weekend. That's it's going to be something else.
The discussion we will be having after this War Games, hopefully, isn't, is this one of the great War Games matches of all time? It's going to be, where does it rank between the first War Games and War Games 92? That's going to be the argument.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, it's definitely, it's going to end up in the top 5 of all time War Games matches easily, if not in the top 2, possibly the top 1. I'm not going to go out there and say that it'll be in the top 1, but it's going to be in the top 5 of all time War Games matches.
Yeah,
it has a shot to be the best NXT War Games match. I think if you're talking about where Saturday Night could rank in terms of like all time with all the other companies, the only thing that it's going to lack, and this is purely just based on expectation, blood helps War Games matches.
Yes.
It just,
okay. I'll give you that one for sure.
So I don't know that it'll, like the 87 and 92 to me are 1A and 1B in terms of the best War Games matches ever run. Those are the War Games matches that I measure every other War Games match up against. Now, can they top that? In terms of the in-ring work and like the quality of the actual match itself, yes, absolutely. Because no offense to the Horsemen and Dusty and Nikita and everybody.
The Dangerous Alliance.
Yeah, or the Dangerous Alliance in 92. It's like there's some really good workers in there, but we're talking about some elite in-ring workers here that are going to be able to do more physically than I think they could have. But the actual brawling aspect, I don't know that it's going to measure up. We'll have to wait and see on that front.
And I don't mean to disrespect any of those other people in those matches, but if we're being honest, the best athlete of some of those early War Games matches, between the two we're talking anyway, the best athlete might have been Bobby Eaton.
That's a very strong possibility, yeah.
So, I mean, and Bobby was great, and I'm not here to dispute that, but Bobby isn't Ricochet, and Bobby isn't Kyle O'Reilly. He never had that opportunity, and that wasn't his game. So what we are going to get, you're right, from a work rate perspective, is going to be on a different level, but some of the aesthetics from those other matches that won't be here for this match might hurt it a little bit, but I still think we're going to have a hell of a conversation on our hands come Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we can all agree that Mauro Ranallo is going to be a greasy puddle at ringside when this is over with. He's going to be Mama Mia out. He's going to be shooting dust in the air when this is all over with. Poor Morrow.
Mauro is going to be Randy Marsh from that one episode of South Park. We all know what episode I'm talking about. I don't need to hear him explain it. That's going to be Morrow. He's just going to be sitting there.
Mamma Mia!
I'm just glad that he's going to be back for the call. No offense to Vic Joseph, but you are not Morrow, and we miss you, Morrow, and we're so glad you're going to be back to call this match. Other than that, I think we've pretty much covered everything for this week. You guys have anything more to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, Nia Jax, you really suck.
This technically isn't in the purview of the show, but if we're if we might as well briefly touch on it, since we will, we're going to be gone until next week. This is a very unfortunate situation that there needs to be a legitimate conversation about Nia Jax going back to developmental.
Yeah,
we need to have that. There needs to be that conversation. Last night on VWP, our friend Prince Moxley Lopez brought up a very good idea that there needs to be an all-hands meeting, either in Connecticut or down at the Performance Center, everybody on hands, because we need to have a discussion about safety and how to handle yourself in some different environments. Because there's no way that was a receipt.
Yeah, I've been watching wrestling. I know Scatchy and Adam, we're all longtime wrestling fans here, so y'all can back me up on this. I don't recall ever seeing a period of wrestling where workers are hurting other workers in the ring at such a high volume as I have over the last 5 years. Like in the past, whenever a worker would get hurt, whenever a wrestler got injured, it's generally because they landed wrong or they fell wrong or they took a bad bump. It was always they hurt themselves by messing up somewhere. Brian Alvarez touched on this on his show. I have never seen such a high propensity of people botching moves, and hurting people. And look, I'm not picking on Nia Jax. I'm really not. I don't have anything personal against her. I think, I saw people there just absolutely being trash human beings to her. Like, there's no call to get on there and call her a hippo or a wildebeest or any other cruel name, okay? Now, I will say this. If, the picture of her hand, if that really was from Monday, I don't think a developmental towards the answer. I think she needs to be fired. And I say that because her hand, unless she just doesn't wash it, I mean, it looked like her hand was broken because the bruising went all the way back towards her wrist. And she had split knuckles on both sides of the hand, which is really weird, which is why I'm leaning towards the fact that that hand was injured at some point in the past, and that's an old picture.
Which, if it's an old picture, all credit to her, that's a masterful healing.
That's exactly what WWE would want her to do. Turn into the skid, trying to get heat from it. It's Wrestling 101, absolutely. But if that was actually her hand after Monday, if she hit someone that hard, look, there's a difference between potatoing somebody and caving someone's face in.
Yes.
Becky Lynch, to be given a severe concussion with memory problems, which she mentioned on Twitter that she's got memory problems right now, to concuss someone that badly from a punch, to break their nose, and to possibly crack an orbital bone. Orbital bone. We don't know for sure what the extent of her injuries are yet. I imagine she'll be seeing a specialist this week, and we'll probably hear word trickle out as we get closer to the Survivor Series. If she cracked an orbital bone, that could be a 7 to 11 month recovery period. She could miss WrestleMania. That could, be a long-term injury that she has to recover from. concussions, she's had a history of them. A severe concussion. It took Dolph Ziggler 5 or 6 months to come back from a single concussion. It's not a guarantee that she's going to be back in 2 weeks. I mean,
we need to remember just recent history. Sasha Banks just came back from post-concussion syndrome. That's scary. Alexa Bliss is on the sideline due to a possible another concussion.
Yeah.
Zelina just got back from a concussion that might have been caused by Nia Jax throwing her the wrong way in a way that Tamina couldn't catch her.
Well, Tamina got hurt on that too. Tamina busted her mouth up because she was in the wrong position. Now, whether that's Nia threw her too far, threw her too quick, I don't know. That's just a difficult spot to perform even by trained professionals.
And you brought up something very important, and I'm seeing there's a lot of this online. Because I saw someone who was trying to defend Nia say there are people out here defending Nia who their all-time great or their man crush is Bruiser Brody. What people need to understand is the way Brody worked and what happened here are two different things.
Yeah.
Brody worked hard and stiff, and you knew that going in. But working stiff does not mean you are throwing haymakers.
Exactly. There's a sharp, drastic dichotomy between chipping a tooth, busting a lip, and breaking bones. I don't know. I've taken boxing classes before. I used to go for the exercise down at the Y when they would do their boxing classes. I am by no means an expert. Okay, now Josh Barnett, he's an expert. And he weighed in on social media last night and said, that looks like a shoot punch to me. So I'm going to, lean towards Barnett's expertise on that. But just from my knowledge of human anatomy and physiology, there is a sharp increase in the amount of force you need to go from chipping a tooth, which, anybody could chip a tooth. You catch it the wrong way. You clip your mouth, you could chip a tooth. I've chipped my front tooth before. It happens. You pop somebody in the mouth, you bust a lip, it happens. Or you'll bloody up a nose or something. But to break a nose, to possibly crack an orbital bone, to give someone a severe concussion from a single punch, we are way far beyond a potato at that point. That's malice aforethought. She had intent to hurt. And that's the sharp contrast. It would be one thing if it was reckless. I think if there was, that amount of damage done to her hand, the bruising that looked like it was on her hand, the different split knuckles, and the redness, if she's hitting someone that hard, she's obviously throwing force behind it. That's not just reckless. She's going out, she's headhunting. And that can't be tolerated. You can't put a wrestler like that on the roster because wrestling is about trust. How is Becky Lynch, as a professional as she was about it after the fact? I mean, we got great visuals out of it with the bloody face and sitting there taunting. God bless Becky Lynch. She was a professional. She did her job. But you can't put Becky Lynch back in the ring with Nia Jax ever again if Nia Jax deliberately set out to go headhunting. Because there's never going to be any trust there. You can't put Rosemary and Sexy Star in the same ring again. And you can't put Nia Jax and Becky Lynch in the same ring again if Nia deliberately set out to hurt her. And judging by the damage to that hand, there is a serious issue here over whether it was deliberate. I honestly believe you could make the case that Nia was intentionally trying to stiff her. Now, why? I don't know. That's why I am sincerely hoping that the image of her hand is from some other incident and they're just using it to get heat. Because if that was from Monday, we got serious issues here.
I will say the WWE did her no favors by putting her directly in front of the oncoming train. I mean, they on SmackDown basically went, "Here, universe, here's your culprit. Go after her."
Like a Christian being led to the lions. They just set her up to die.
Greg, please weigh in on this. We've rambled long enough.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, if that was a legit punch, and to somebody as myself who has watched a lot of MMA fights in my life, that looked like somebody tried to knock out their opponent. I agree. Like that just can't be condoned. You need to cut bait and get rid of somebody who's doing that kind of stuff in the ring. I don't think a trip back down to developmental is going to do anybody any good. You're putting people who are still learning with somebody who's got a history of and quite an extensive history of injuring her opponents. You're not doing your developmental stars any favors. You're not doing Nia any favors by coddling her. I'm hoping, like Biff said, that was just an old picture and not something that happened Monday. I honestly, I really don't know where they go with this, but it's a disgusting incident, and I never want to see anything like that happening again.
No, and no, that like you said, if that picture of her hand is a result of Becky's injury, is what is, you know what I'm trying to say. If the hand is a part of the injury puzzle, then I don't like calling for people's jobs personally, because I don't like talking about people's money. And that's what we're talking about here. But you have a serious issue if that hand is as a result of what happened.
Let's be 100% clear. If that hand came from Monday night, that's not just a shoot punch in the ring. That's assault. That's what it was. It was assault in the ring. She assaulted her because you cannot say, unless you are just a big dumb brute, which Nia Jax has never given us any cause to believe she's a big dumb idiot. She's always been well spoken, very eloquent, very intelligent. You know, you can't use the excuse, well, I didn't know how hard I was punching. You don't break your hand. That hand looks broke. The bruising, the redness, the swelling, the split knuckles, it looks like she broke her hand. Okay? You don't break your hand unless you are just completely oblivious to, your own power, unless you are really punching hard. It's like, you're not, you can break your wrist easy if you don't know how to punch. That's not hard to do. But her hand looked like a mangled mess. That takes an awful lot of force.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it was from some other incident. The fact that she had split knuckles on opposite sides of the hand makes me believe that it could have been something different. It could have been just an old picture, I hope. Because if she had deliberately went out to hurt Becky Lynch and did that much damage, that's not just a wrestling punishment at that point. That's freaking assault. And you can't have that. You can't tolerate it. So
my last comment on it is there's 100 ways to throw that punch and it not hurt her the way it did. You can throw that punch 100 different ways, and Becky would have been just fine. She somehow managed to do it the exact wrong way. And I'm gonna treat this like this was an accident until I am otherwise notified. But even as an accident, Nia has a body count. And once you start racking up a body count in professional wrestling, I have to hesitate about putting you out there.
Yeah, agreed. It's sorry to say, but it's absolutely true.
Totally agreed on my end as well.
Oh, goodness. Well, that was quite the show, guys. We'll have to do this again sometime. I guess we should get some plugs out of the way. Of course, the LIP family of podcasts always coming at you. Two Guys, One Sport, Crazy Chris and George Atsaves coming at you Thursday evenings, 9 p.m., 8 Central. Be sure to check them out tomorrow evening. Of course, the Godfather himself, Taker's Minion, and Mr. Doc Sinju come at you with Shooting the Breeze at Saturday mornings. It will be 10 a.m. Eastern, starting an hour from earlier than usual because of the Big Four pay-per-view this weekend. Big round table, a couple of special guests will be on, so be sure to check out Shooting the Breeze on Saturday. Of course, we have the Connoisseurs of Wrestling every Monday night. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Got Women in Wrestling as the subject this month. Very good show lined up for next week and the week after. And Greg the Hold, still hopeful to get you on one Monday evening whenever we can work schedule out. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be a nice Christmas treat if we can get the schedules worked out. Still planning on the move to Twitch. That's been delayed by a couple of weeks, I think. So no firm timetable on when the shows are moving to Twitch. We'll keep you up to date on that. We'll also keep you up to date whenever Don Sal Cusmano gets his show arranged. Still waiting on some details from him about his show details. But that is the LIP family of shows right now. Thank you again for all the support. If you like what you hear tonight, pound that subscribe button, hit the like. Greg, I believe that wraps us up, buddy. You want to take us home for the evening?
Absolutely. We'll throw it to our guest, Adam, here. Adam, where can the fine folk contact you if they want to get a hold of you?
If you guys so choose and want to get a hold of me through social media, I am at PWFan01 on Twitter. If you see the Ohio State emblem, that's where you know you find me. Hush, Biff.
I'm rooting for you guys. I want you to beat Michigan for us. So,
the way this is going, you might have to beat Michigan for us. And if you so choose, stop laughing. I'm over at Cage Side Seats in the daily, some days, mostly in the nightly. Biff can't stop laughing at my expense. And that's where you guys can find me if you guys want to talk really about anything.
Poor Adam. It'll happen one day, buddy. You keep plugging away. It'll happen. So.
Hey, I'm used to beating Michigan. This is a new experience for me. I haven't had to worry about the Michigan Wolverines for 12 years, so it's...
There you go, partner. You throw that shade.
I have to. That's all I have.
There you go. And Biff, where can they find you?
Oh, outside of laughing at poor Adam's expense, you can find me over at Cage Side Seats at Biff Kensington. You can find me at Real Deal Biff on the Twitter machine. I'm generally lapping up any of Becky Lynch's posts on Twitter these days, so you can find me posting little funny images on there. And also, of course, holding down the fort over at the Charlotte Cigar Lounge every weekend. We have a little group that meets over there. So if you're in the Charlotte area and you like a good cigar, the Charlotte Cigar Lounge is where you can generally find us on the weekends. We've got a whole crew down that way. Where can they find you at, Greg?
You can find me on the Twitter machine at GW Klein, KLEIN 75. I hang out quite frequently in the daily on Cage Side. You'll catch me mostly Monday to Fridays in there, and you'll catch me on a few other threads here or there, but mostly in the daily. You can always hit us up on our show Twitter or send us an email, and we will respond to you. All the info is in the box below. We look forward to any interaction with our fans. And that wraps up another great episode for us. Thanks for being on, Adam. We appreciate you being here.
It was my honor and distinct pleasure to be on with you guys.
And other than that, everybody enjoy TakeOver and Survivor Series this weekend, and we will have full recaps of everything that went down for you next week. We'll see you then.
Take care, guys.
Good night, all.
Yeah, Adam, you're probably right. Ohio State's going to suck.